this video is going to be another video. We're going to go deep. This is part 2 of what is actually happening with the East Coast, West Coast, Kendrick Lamar, Drake, what is actually taking place. So, the second part that I wanted to make about what was spiritually involved in this process, because this was not about just the music. Essentially, the music is one way you can reclaim your birthright. Okay, music is one way that you reclaiming your birthright. So by Kendrick Lamar doing this and dropping this, he's reclaiming his birthright, his title. And by allowing those artists to come out, they all initially have reclaimed their original royal bloodline. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about was how he unified each level of gang energies, levels, okay? Because it's levels to this. From every single gang that was there, from, like I mentioned before, Bloods, Crips, Pyrus, Hoovers. Listen, everyone that was there, they basically became a unified group now. And that was the initiation step for those to say that we're stronger unified. But not only unified, is that the government knew how powerful these individual groups were, so they stripped them apart. From the initial war, the first phase, they stripped them apart. And now when you see them communicating on stage in a way that if you're tapped in and you tune in, you know what they're communicating. Because if you guys didn't notice, you saw Russell Westbrook like dap up YG, and they was doing a dance. But when you see them, actually they were throwing up their set. But when you see them doing that particular dance, they were communicating. And I know the language because I am a priestess, I am a prophet, so God had revealed a lot of the language and the signs of what they mean. Also, some things that I have found out that was very, very secret is that the government took a lot of the communication of what was actually done and said and how the gang members communicate with the signs through a book. Okay, it was a documented book. I don't know the name of this book. I just saw this book and I know it's like a real thing. It was a documented book that happened by one of the highest, like maybe triple OG guys that was running the West Coast, and he documented a book about the culture, about a particular certain things about what they did with the culture, what certain things meant. Tattoos, and this was a secrecy thing. The government got their hands on this book and they began to infiltrate the culture by mixing the particular royal bloodlines with people that necessarily were not royal and didn't have that same emphasis about how they feel about black culture, about the same emphasis about how they feel about being brown, like going through those experiences, and they moved to the East Coast. So you have someone that is initiated in the royal bloodline practices, such as Drake. He's been initiated in the sense of the government has given him his keys to the city. The government has given him his rights, or rights as we talked about. You guys know I talked about it in the first video. But yeah, so those sort of rights where you do a ceremony and all of those things to get initiated. That's how they've been stealing DNA. So he's been initiated in that cycle, but that blood cycle that comes from royalty, where it comes from the DNA and strictly from the DNA, a lot of it comes from the West Coast, if that makes sense. Those things are being basically reclaimed. Okay, so they're reclaiming their blood rights. That's one. So I went into the different correlations of what was actually happening, where you have two groups or two organizations that are unifying Bloods and Crips. And I mean, this is not to not shine the light on everyone else that was there, but these are two powerhouses within the political system, within the government system, that have really always been running things behind doors, behind scenes forever. They actually been running things. It took the government a very long time to try to shut their mechanisms down and infiltrate their system. They could only do it within, so they worked with the individuals that they could within to move outwards, and that's how they pretty much captured and unalive Tupac, captured unalive Biggie. And Biggie was utilized as a migration tool because him and Tupac originally started on the journey itself. And oh, let's not forget Snoop. Okay, so yeah, Spirit is bringing this up for a reason. Snoop Dogg was one of those people that was very critical to the West Coast. One of those persons that was sitting up there almost as a king or a leader, such as Diddy. But the problem was that Snoop did not want to necessarily take the full throne, the full throne of what was required, because he didn't have the political voice for it. Okay, Snoop was always a part of that royal DNA, but he didn't have the political push, the political power, the political agenda behind those things. So he never could really take the lead for the West Coast. He never could take the crown for the West Coast. But he played a very, very, very important part. But after Tupac, no one else did. So no one, they couldn't really push Snoop the way they needed to. After Tupac had passed away, so they needed someone basically to take the crown, take the voice. No one stepped up. So because that royal DNA was suppressed. It was suppressed through drugs, through drug time, like in the 90s, through political system, through a lot of political races. They suppressed it with drugs, with basically everything that was going on the West Coast that was really hyper focused, violence, all those things that were really done. That's how they suppressed the royal DNA for so long. And now we have the royal DNA that is coming alive, that is in full effect. So what this means if you're spiritual is, number one, reclaim your throne. Okay, because I hear Spirit just wrapping it all around and guiding me back into it. Reclaim your throne. Reclaim your initial grounds that you cover, spiritually, emotionally, physically. Reclaim who you are, your voice, your sound, your reasoning behind what you do for the communities, for who you are. Reclaim your voice. And then also, if you have that initial warrior spirit, because we're dealing with the warrior energy and we're dealing with the mother energy. These are two different energies. It's almost masculine and feminine, but it's not in a sense of gender. It's literally the energy. The masculine energy we're dealing with the warrior energy is that dragon, warrior, king, queenship, dominant nature. And then we also have that mothery dominant nature, protect the throne, such as I'm going to nurture my baby and let my baby suck on my nini until it's ready. That type of energy is coming from the East Coast, right? It's still a strong energy, but it is controlled. Like, you have the mother and the baby sucking on the nini literally is a representation of the government Drake getting milk from the government. Like they were passing out WIC certification tabs. Yeah, it's literally that energy. So the East Coast is ran, or let me just say the whole world is ran by that energy through the government. However, it is very heavy on the hand that feeds you on the East Coast and the bite in the hand that feeds you on the West Coast. That is the implication that's going on that Spirit is talking about. So what this means, like I said, for all of us that are 144,000 that's walking into our spiritual journey, reclaim your throne. Like, sitting here and trying to figure out how you're going to work the system is not going to be the answer, because the system is already breaking down. It's already crashing. It's already, like, everything is just falling into pieces, and you're able to see the illusions that are going on. The system has already been set, but everything is breaking down. So it's not about where you fit into the system anymore. It's how you can recreate the system, how you can stand apart from the system, how you can build your communities and teach people a part of that system, and build and help people grow a part of the system. And then see people for who they are. Government system, as you can begin to talk, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, Spirit. Listen, Spirit is talking so much right now. I'm trying to keep up. Okay, so God is literally talking about the YSL case and why that's important and why that's critical to the royal bloodlining system. What you're seeing is those powers that be that have been sitting there controlling everything from this time forward, like the judge, all of those things. Listen, I want to say allegedly on here, but all those things have been happening all over time, where you have the judge or the peoples that are in power. A lot of people had thought that it was a color thing. No, that it was a white thing that was kind of controlling. And now you see this brown skinned judge sitting on the thing at YSL. Sitting up in the courthouse acting a fool. So that is a sign of the royal DNA actually rising up against those that are in power. And the people that initially stole it, some of those people that have transmutation of the DNA, they can look like us. They can look like us, so don't get it twisted. But you want to look at the soul, because some of the souls that you're seeing, they could have the skin, the meat suit of the color, but the soul is just no good. No good. What did God talk about? This, that the at the end of the times, the war is in principality and high places. So you better pay attention to the principalities in the high places, the people that are sitting on the throne, the people that are making the decisions, the people that you think that are solid that are not. Okay, so this is very critical. Now, I also want to get into this, which I'll probably do in another video. This is critical to get into your position of place, like where you want to be located, because a lot of things are going to be unfolding throughout the timeline, throughout the geography locations of what is taking place and what is going down with reclaiming the key. We're going to get into Project 2025. Honey, this is so deep, but what is actually happening within this product in this place where children, and anyways, we'll get into all that. So I love you guys. Hope you to see you soon. Don't forget to shop my cookie store that we have, Pinky's Cookies, and follow me on Instagram at alignwithari. Follow me on TikTok at alignwithari, and YouTube, Align with Ariana. Peace, love, I do.